The morning sun slipped quietly through the curtains, casting a soft glow across the living room. Lily Chen stood in the kitchen, gently stirring a pot of porridge. The faint steam rose like a fragile dream, warm, simple, easily broken. "Mom!" A small voice came from behind her. Lily turned immediately, her face softening. "Noah, you're awake already?" Noah Lee rubbed his eyes, his small face pale but still smiling. "I want to eat with you." Lily knelt down, brushing his hair back. Her fingers paused slightly. "You feel warm," she murmured. "It's nothing," Noah said quickly, as if afraid she would worry. "I'm strong." Lily forced a smile. "Of course you are. But strong boys still listen to their mom." She touched his forehead again. The warmth lingered. At the dining table, Ethan Lee sat scrolling through his phone, his expression distant. His suit was already neat, his tie perfectly straight, everything about him precise, except his attention. "Ethan," Lily said carefully, placing a bowl in front of him, "Noah has a slight fever. I think we should take him to the hospital today." Ethan didn't look up. That was all. Lily hesitated. "It started last night. I'm a little worried." Before Ethan could respond, another voice cut in sharply. "You worry too much." Grace Lee walked into the room, elegant and composed, her presence immediately tightening the air. "Children get sick all the time," she continued. "In our day, we didn't run to the hospital for every little thing." Lily lowered her gaze slightly. "It's just a precaution." "You're making him weak," Grace interrupted coldly. "Always hovering. That's not how you raise a proper heir." Noah shrank slightly in his chair. Lily noticed instantly. Her hand tightened under the table. Ethan finally spoke, still not looking up. "I have an important meeting today." "Mom's right, just monitor him." Lily's lips parted, then closed again. "Okay." By afternoon, the house felt too quiet. Noah lay on the couch, his small body curled under a blanket. His breathing was uneven. "Mom," he whispered. "I'm here," Lily said immediately, kneeling beside him. "It hurts." Her heart clenched. She grabbed her phone and called Ethan. Once. Twice. 3 times. No answer. Across the city, Ethan sat in a high-rise conference room. His phone buzzed silently on the table. Grace, seated beside him, glanced at the screen. "Focus," she said quietly. "This deal is worth more than distractions." Ethan frowned slightly, then turned the phone face down. Back home, Lily's hands trembled as she pressed a cold cloth to Noah's forehead. "Noah, stay awake, okay?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Mom," his voice was weaker now. "I'm sleepy." No, don't sleep yet," she said quickly, panic rising. "We're going to the hospital." She struggled to lift him, her movements rushed and unsteady. The world felt like it was closing in. The hospital corridor was filled with harsh white light. Doctors moved quickly. Nurses spoke in urgent tones. Lily stood frozen outside the emergency room, her hands stained with tears she didn't remember wiping. Time lost meaning. Minutes, hours, she couldn't tell. Then the door opened. The doctor stepped out. "I'm sorry." 2 simple words. They shattered everything. Ethan arrived too late. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallway as he saw Lily sitting on the floor, her back against the wall, eyes hollow. "Lily," he said, his voice tight. "What happened?" She didn't respond. He walked closer. "Where's Noah?" Silence. Something inside him began to crack. "Lily," he said again, more urgently. She slowly looked up. Her eyes were dry. Too dry. "He waited for you," she said softly. Ethan froze. "What?" "He kept asking for you," Lily continued, her voice eerily calm. "Even when it hurt, he still asked where you were." Ethan's breathing grew uneven. I didn't know it was serious." "I called you," she said. Each word landed like a stone. 3 times. He had no answer. Grace arrived shortly after, her expression tense but controlled. "This is unfortunate," she said. "But blaming each other won't help." Lily turned her head slowly. "Children get sick," Grace continued. "These things happen. As a mother, You should have been more careful. The silence that followed was suffocating. Ethan frowned. Mom, that's not. But Lily suddenly laughed. It was soft. Empty. Broken. More careful, she repeated. She stood up slowly, her body swaying slightly. I stayed with him all night, she said. I begged for help. Her gaze shifted to Ethan. You were busy. Then to Grace. You said I was overreacting. Neither of them spoke. Days passed like a blur. The house that once felt warm now felt like a grave. Noah's room remained untouched. His toys sat where he left them. His small shoes still by the door. Lily stood in the doorway, unmoving. Ethan approached quietly behind her. I'm sorry, he said. His voice was low. Uncertain. I should have been there. Lily closed her eyes. For a moment, just a moment, her shoulders trembled. Then she whispered, I forgive you. Ethan looked up, startled. But something about her tone felt wrong. There was no warmth. No relief. Just emptiness. That night, Lily sat alone in Noah's room. She held his favorite toy tightly in her hands. Tears finally fell, silent and endless. If I had another chance, she whispered. Her voice cracked. I wouldn't forgive you. Rain poured heavily outside. The streets were slick, the lights blurred. Lily walked slowly, her steps unsteady, her mind lost in grief. A bright light flashed. A horn blared. Then darkness. Silence. Then a faint sound. Mom! Lily's eyes flew open. The world was quiet. Too quiet. She turned her head slowly. And there, standing by the door, was Noah. Alive. Smiling. Mom, why are you crying? Lily's breath stopped. Her heart pounded violently in her chest. This time, she didn't cry. Her expression slowly changed. Not relief. Not joy. But something far colder. I'm not crying, she said softly. Her voice was steady, unfamiliar, and resolute. The sunlight felt different. That was the first thing Lily noticed. It was the same soft glow through the curtains, the same quiet morning, but it no longer felt warm. It felt distant. Lily sat upright in bed, her breathing uneven. Her fingers clutched the blanket tightly as fragments of memory crashed into her mind. The hospital. The silence. The doctor's voice. I'm sorry. Her body stiffened. No, she whispered. Her eyes darted toward the door. Mom! A small voice. Alive. Real. Lily turned sharply. Noah stood there, rubbing his eyes, just like he always did in the mornings. For a moment, time froze. Then she was already moving. She rushed forward and pulled him into her arms so tightly that Noah let out a small surprised sound. Mom! You're here, her voice trembled, though her grip did not loosen. You're really here. Noah blinked, confused but smiling. Of course I am. Where would I go? Lily buried her face in his hair. Warm. Breathing. Alive. Her heart pounded painfully, but something inside her remained, still. Because along with relief came memory. Every second of it. After a long moment, she slowly let him go. Her hands lingered on his shoulders as she looked at him carefully. No fever. No pale lips. No weakness. This was before everything. Before it all ended. Lily stood alone in the kitchen later, staring at the calendar on the wall. Her gaze fixed on a date. Exactly 1 year before Noah's death. Her fingers curled slightly. So it's real, she murmured. This wasn't a dream. This wasn't a miracle. This was a second chance. Footsteps approached. Ethan walked in, adjusting his cufflinks, his expression calm as always. Breakfast ready? He asked casually. Lily turned to look at him. Her eyes were quiet. Too quiet. Ethan paused slightly, frowning. What? Lily shook her head. Nothing. She turned back to the stove. No anger. No tears. Not even disappointment. Just absence. At the dining table, the scene repeated like a script she had already lived. Noah sat happily, swinging his legs. Grace walked in, her presence sharp as ever. And then, "Mom," Noah said softly, "I feel a little warm." The words echoed in Lily's mind. Exactly the same. The beginning of the end. But this time, Lily didn't hesitate. She stood up immediately and placed her hand on Noah's forehead. Her movements were calm, precise. "I'll take him to the hospital," she said. Her tone left no room for discussion. Ethan looked up, surprised. "It's just a slight fever," I said. Lily interrupted, her voice steady. "I'll take him to the hospital." The room fell silent. Grace frowned. "You're overreacting again." Lily turned her head slowly. Her gaze met Grace's. For the first time. There was no submission in it. "Even if I am," she said calmly, "he's my son." Grace stiffened slightly. Ethan looked between them, confused. Something felt off. The hospital visit was quick. Diagnosis: early-stage infection. Treatable. Safe. Lily listened carefully, asking precise questions, noting every instruction. Her grip on reality was firm. No panic. No hesitation. No second chances needed. That night, Noah slept peacefully. Lily sat beside him, watching his steady breathing. Her expression softened, just slightly. "You're safe now," she whispered. Her hand rested lightly on his head. But her eyes remained distant. In the living room, Ethan stood quietly, watching her from afar. "You're acting strange," he said. Lily didn't turn. "Am I?" "You didn't argue," he continued. "You didn't explain. You just decided." Lily finally looked at him. "That's a problem?" Ethan hesitated. "No. But it didn't feel right." Not at all. Days passed. And Lily began to change everything. Quietly. Systematically. She adjusted Noah's schedule, ensuring he rested properly. She prepared healthier meals. She kept medical records. Every detail was controlled. Every risk minimized. At the same time, she began changing her own life. She reopened her old laptop. Updated her resume. Applied for jobs. Mia noticed immediately. "You're going back to work?" her sister asked, surprised. Lily nodded. "Yes." Mia smiled. "Finally. I was waiting for this version of you." Lily paused slightly. "This version," she repeated softly. "Yes. This version didn't wait. Didn't depend. Didn't forgive easily." One evening, Ethan returned home earlier than usual. He found Lily sitting at the table, reviewing documents. "What's this?" he asked. "Job applications," she replied. He frowned. "You don't need to work." "I know," she said simply. That answer unsettled him more than any argument. Grace was less subtle. "You're neglecting your responsibilities," she said coldly during dinner. Lily placed her chopsticks down. "No," she replied calmly. "I'm redefining them." Grace's expression darkened. Ethan watched silently. Something was shifting. And he didn't understand it. Later that night, Ethan stood at the doorway of Noah's room. Lily sat inside, reading softly as Noah drifted to sleep. The scene was peaceful. Perfect. But Ethan felt excluded. Like he was watching a life he didn't belong to. As Lily closed the book, she glanced at Noah. His breathing was steady. Safe. Alive. She stood up quietly and walked out of the room. Ethan was still there. "Lily," he said. She stopped. He hesitated. Did something happen? She looked at him. For a brief second. Something deep and painful flickered in her eyes. A memory. A loss. A past he didn't know existed. Then. It disappeared. "No," she said. Nothing happened. But as she walked away, her voice echoed faintly in her own mind. Everything already happened. The house looked the same. The same polished floors. The same carefully arranged furniture. The same quiet tension lingering in the air. But something had changed. Not loudly. Not visibly. Just enough to make everything feel unfamiliar. Lily stood in the kitchen early in the morning, preparing Noah's breakfast. Her movements were smooth, efficient, no wasted motion, no hesitation. Behind her, Noah sat at the table, happily drawing. "Mom, look," he said, holding up a piece of paper. Lily turned, her expression softening slightly. "What is it?" "It's us," Noah said proudly. "You and me." Lily walked over and took the drawing. 2 stick figures. Holding hands. No third figure. Her fingers paused for just a second. Then she smiled gently. "It's beautiful." Noah beamed. At that moment, Ethan entered the room. He loosened his tie slightly, watching the scene. "Why didn't you draw me?" he asked lightly. Noah tilted his head. "You're always busy." The words were simple, but they landed heavily. Ethan's smile faded. Lily placed the drawing carefully on the table. "Eat your breakfast," she said softly to Noah. Then she turned back to the kitchen, as if nothing had happened. Later that day, the hospital visit had become routine. Lily sat across from the doctor, listening intently. "He's recovering well," the doctor said. "You brought him in early. That made all the difference." Lily nodded. "I'll continue monitoring him closely." Her tone was calm, almost professional. The doctor smiled. "You're a very attentive mother." Lily didn't respond. Because she knew. This wasn't attentiveness. This was correction. Outside the hospital, Ethan caught up with her. "I'll drive you home," he said. Lily shook her head. "No need. I'll take a taxi." "I'm his father," Ethan said, a hint of frustration creeping in. "I should be involved." Lily looked at him. "You can visit him at home." The words were polite, but the distance was clear. That evening, dinner felt heavier than usual. Grace sat at the head of the table, her posture rigid. "I heard you went to the hospital again," she said, her tone sharp. Lily continued eating calmly. "Yes. For a mild illness." Grace pressed. "Yes." Grace placed her chopsticks down. "You're turning this family into a joke." Silence filled the room. Noah looked down at his plate. Ethan frowned. "Mom, that's enough." But Lily spoke first. Her voice was quiet. Steady. "If protecting my child is a joke," she said, "then I'm fine being one." Grace's eyes narrowed. "You've become very bold." Lily met her gaze directly. "No," she replied. "I've just stopped being silent." The tension lingered long after dinner ended. In the living room, Ethan stood alone, his thoughts restless. This wasn't the Lily he knew. The old Lily would explain. Would compromise. Would soften things. This one didn't need to. The next day, Lily stepped into a modern office building. Her heels clicked softly against the floor, each step firm and certain. This was her first day back at work. A fresh start. Or perhaps, a reclaimed one. "Lily." She turned. A man approached with a warm, easy smile. "Ryan Shu," he said, extending his hand. "We spoke on the phone." Lily shook his hand. "Nice to meet you." Ryan studied her briefly. Not in a rude way, but in a curious one. "You seem calmer than most people on their first day," he remarked. Lily replied simply, "I've had practice starting over." Ryan chuckled lightly. "That sounds like a story." "It is," she said. "But not one I tell." Work became another part of her carefully structured life. Efficient. Controlled. Predictable. Unlike everything she had lost before. That night, Mia visited. She leaned against the kitchen counter, watching Lily prepare tea. "You're different," Mia said bluntly. Lily didn't deny it. "I know. You're not sad," Mia continued. "But you're not happy either." Lily poured the tea slowly. "I don't have time for either." Mia frowned. "That's not how life works." Lily handed her the cup. "It is now." Back at the Lee house, Grace stood in Ethan's study. "You're losing control of your own wife," she said coldly. Ethan sighed. "She's not someone to control." "She used to be," Grace replied. Ethan didn't answer. Because that was the problem. She used to be. Later that night, Ethan stood outside Noah's room again. Lily was inside, helping Noah with his homework. Her voice was soft, patient, gentle. Everything she no longer was with him. After Noah fell asleep, Lily stepped out. Ethan was waiting. "Can we talk?" he asked. Lily stopped. "About what?" "Us," he said. The word lingered. Heavy. Uncertain. For a brief moment. The past flickered in Lily's eyes. The version of her that once loved him without hesitation. The version that waited. Hoped. Forgave. Then. It disappeared. "There is no us to talk about," she said calmly. Ethan froze. "What do you mean?" Lily looked at him directly. "We're parents," she said. "That's all." The words hit harder than anger ever could. Ethan stared at her, searching for something. Emotion. Regret. Anything. But there was nothing. As Lily walked away, her steps steady and unhurried, Ethan felt something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not frustration. Not confusion. But fear. Because for the first time, he realized he might actually lose her. And this time, she wouldn't come back. The change didn't happen all at once. It crept in slowly like a crack in glass, barely visible at first, until one day, everything threatened to shatter. Ethan began coming home earlier. At first, it was subtle. A cancelled dinner. A postponed meeting. A quiet decision he didn't explain even to himself. Tonight was no different. The house was quiet when he walked in. But not empty. From the dining area, he heard laughter. Soft. Warm. Unfamiliar. He stepped closer. Lily sat beside Noah, helping him with homework. Noah giggled as Lily lightly tapped his pencil. "That's the third mistake," she said, her voice teasing. "I did it on purpose." Noah protested. "Of course you did," Lily replied, smiling faintly. Ethan stopped. Watching. There it was. That version of her. Gentle. Patient. Alive. But not for him. "I'm home," he said. The words felt heavier than usual. Lily looked up briefly. "Dinner is in the kitchen." Then she turned back to Noah. That was all. Ethan stood there for a moment longer, before silently walking away. Later that night, he sat across from Noah at the table. "Want me to help you tomorrow?" Ethan asked. Noah blinked. "With homework?" Ethan nodded. Noah hesitated. Then asked honestly, "Will you be home?" The question was innocent. But it cut deeper than any accusation. Ethan paused. "Yes." Noah smiled. "Okay." From the doorway, Lily watched quietly. Her expression didn't change. But her fingers tightened slightly against the doorframe. Days passed. Ethan tried. He really did. He showed up for breakfast. Picked Noah up from school. Even turned down one of Grace's arranged business dinners. Grace noticed immediately. "You're neglecting priorities," she said sharply one afternoon. Ethan didn't look up from his documents. "I'm managing them." "Your family's reputation is not something you manage," she snapped. "It's something you maintain." Ethan sighed. "My son is also my priority." Grace's eyes narrowed. "This is because of Lily." Ethan didn't deny it. At home, the atmosphere remained polite. Too polite. Lily didn't reject Ethan's presence. But she didn't welcome it either. She simply allowed it. Like a guest who had overstayed but not yet been asked to leave. One evening, rain tapped softly against the windows. Lily stood in the kitchen, preparing tea. Ethan walked in. "I cancelled my trip next week," he said. Lily didn't react. "Okay. I'll stay home," he added. "With you and Noah." Lily placed the teacup down carefully. Then she turned. "You don't need to report your schedule to me." Ethan frowned. "That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" she asked calmly. He hesitated. Because he didn't know how to say it. "I'm trying. I'm afraid. I don't understand why you're slipping away. He started, then stopped. Lily waited. But not patiently. Just, neutrally. Finally, he said it. "I want to fix things." The words hung in the air. Lily looked at him. Really looked at him. For a moment. Something fragile surfaced in her eyes. A memory. A version of him that once mattered. Then it faded. "You're too late," she said softly. Ethan's chest tightened. "Too late for what?" he asked. Lily's gaze didn't waver. "For me." Silence. Heavy. Unforgiving. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat alone in the living room, staring at nothing. Her words echoed in his mind. Too late. But nothing had happened. No big fight. No breaking point. So why did it feel like everything had already ended? Meanwhile, in her room, Lily opened a folder on her laptop. Documents neatly arranged. Financial statements. Legal consultations. Custody considerations. Everything prepared. Carefully. Quietly. Her phone buzzed. A message. From Ryan. "You stayed late today. Don't overwork yourself." Lily stared at the screen for a moment. Then replied. "I know what I'm doing." A pause. Then another message. "You always do." Lily placed the phone aside. Her expression remained unchanged. But there was something different in her stillness. Not warmth, but ease. The next day, at the office, Ryan leaned casually against her desk. "You don't talk much about your personal life," he said. "There's not much to say," Lily replied. He studied her. "That's not true," he said. "You just choose not to." Lily glanced at him. "Some things," she said, "are better left in the past." Ryan smiled slightly. "And yet," he said, "they still affect your present." Lily didn't respond. Because he wasn't wrong. That evening, Grace arrived unannounced. "I think it's time we talk," she said, sitting firmly in the living room. Lily stood across from her. "About what?" "Your behavior," Grace said coldly. "Your attitude. Your lack of respect." Lily didn't sit. Didn't argue. Didn't raise her voice. Instead, she said calmly, "I'm not your subordinate." Grace stiffened. "You're my daughter-in-law." "That doesn't mean I belong to you," Lily replied. Ethan entered just in time to hear the last sentence. "Lily," he started. But she didn't look at him. "I fulfill my responsibilities," Lily continued. "I care for my son. I maintain this household." She paused. Then added, "But I won't sacrifice myself anymore." The room fell silent. Grace stood abruptly. "This family is falling apart because of you," she said. Lily met her gaze. "No," she said quietly. "It was already broken." That night, Ethan stood outside their bedroom. The door slightly open. Lily inside. Packing documents into a folder. Something in his chest tightened. A quiet, growing fear. "Lily," he said. She looked up. He took a step forward. Then another. And finally, he said the words he had never said before. "I'm sorry. Real. Honest. Late." Lily froze for a fraction of a second. Then, she smiled. Soft. Distant. "You're apologizing," she said. "To the wrong version of me." Ethan didn't understand. But he felt it. This time, his apology had nowhere to land. The house had never been this quiet before. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. But the kind that comes when something is already ending. Morning sunlight filtered through the windows as usual. Noah sat at the table, happily eating breakfast. "Mom, can we go to the park later?" he asked. Lily poured him a glass of milk. "Of course. Will Dad come?" Noah added. There was a brief pause. Not long enough for a child to notice. "Only if he has time," Lily replied calmly. Noah nodded, satisfied. Across the table, Ethan lowered his gaze. He had time. Now, he always had time. But somehow, it didn't seem to matter anymore. Later that day, the park was filled with laughter. Children running. Parents calling out. Life moving forward. Noah ran ahead, chasing a ball. Lily sat on a bench, watching him. Her expression was softer than usual. Not warm, but lighter. Because this version of Noah was alive, healthy, safe. "You did well." The voice came from beside her. "Ryan, Lily didn't turn. "You're here too?" "My niece," he said, gesturing toward a child nearby. She insisted. A brief silence settled between them. Ryan glanced at Noah. "He looks happy," he said. "He is," Lily replied. Ryan studied her. "And you?" Lily didn't answer immediately. "I'm stable," she said. Ryan smiled faintly. "That's not the same thing." "I know," she said. From a distance. Ethan watched. His hands clenched slightly at his sides. Not because of Ryan, but because of the way Lily looked sitting there. Calm. Composed. Unreachable. That night. The tension finally broke. Ethan stood in the living room, waiting. Lily walked in, placing her bag down calmly. "We need to talk," he said. Lily looked at him. "All right." They sat across from each other. The same space. The same distance. But it felt like strangers meeting for the first time. "I don't understand," Ethan began. His voice was tight, controlled but barely. "I've been trying. I've been here. I've changed." Lily listened. Silent. "Why does it still feel like I've already lost you?" he asked. There it was. Raw. Honest. Too late. Lily's gaze softened slightly. Just slightly. But not with love. With something closer to pity. "Because you have," she said quietly. Ethan's breath hitched. "When?" he demanded. "When did I lose you?" The question echoed in the room. Heavy. Dangerous. For a moment. Lily said nothing. Because the real answer. The hospital hallway. The unanswered calls. Their son asking for his father one last time. Could never be spoken. Instead, she said. Gradually. Ethan shook his head. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you'll get," she replied. Silence. Then. Ethan stood up abruptly. "I love you." The words came out suddenly, as if he had been holding them back for too long. Lily froze. Not visibly. But inside. Something trembled. A memory. A past life where those words meant everything. "You don't mean that," she said softly. "I do," he insisted. "I just didn't realize it before." Lily let out a quiet breath. "Yes," she said. "That's the problem." Ethan stared at her. "You realized too late," she continued. "After everything that mattered was already gone." Her words were calm. But they carried weight. The kind that couldn't be undone. Ethan's voice dropped. "Then tell me how to fix it." Lily shook her head slowly. "You can't." Another silence. This one final. Then. Lily reached into her bag. And placed a folder on the table. Ethan's eyes fell on it. His chest tightened. He already knew. Before opening it. "Divorce papers," he said hoarsely. Lily nodded. "No," he said immediately. "No, Lily, we can work this out." "There's nothing to work out," she interrupted calmly. "You're giving up," he said. Lily looked at him. For the first time. There was a flicker of emotion. Not anger. Not sadness. But something deeper. "I already tried once," she said quietly. Ethan frowned. "What?" But Lily didn't explain. She never would. "You deserve a chance to be a good father," she continued. "And Noah deserves that too." Her voice softened slightly. "But I don't need to stay your wife for that." Ethan's hands trembled. "What about us?" he asked. Lily stood up slowly. "There is no us," she said. The same words. But this time. They felt final. Ethan looked up at her, his voice breaking. "Did you ever love me again?" The question hung in the air. Fragile. Desperate. Lily paused. Her back to him. For a moment. The room held its breath. Then. She answered. No. Simple. Clean. Unforgiving. But before she walked away. She added quietly. "I stopped hating you." And somehow. That hurt even more. Later that night. Lily stood by Noah's bed. Watching him sleep. Her expression finally softened. "You're safe," she whispered. "That's enough." Her phone buzzed. A message from Ryan. "Are you okay?" Lily looked at it for a long moment. Then replied, yes. And for the first time. It wasn't a lie. The day of the divorce arrived quietly. No storm. No argument. No last-minute hesitation. Just a calm, inevitable end. The courthouse stood tall and indifferent, its grey walls reflecting nothing of the emotions inside. Lily walked in first. Her steps were steady, measured, unshaken. Ethan arrived moments later. He looked different. Not outwardly, his suit was still neat, his posture still straight. But the sharpness in his eyes had softened. Replaced by something heavier. Something tired. They stood side by side briefly. Not speaking. Not looking at each other. Like two strangers waiting in the same place for different reasons. The process was quick. Signatures. Documents. Formalities. A marriage reduced to paperwork. When it was done, the clerk gave a polite nod. It's finalized. Lily took her copy. Thank you, she said calmly. Then she turned. Ready to leave. Lily. Ethan's voice stopped her. She paused. But didn't turn immediately. What now? He asked. The question lingered. Not practical. Not legal. But something deeper. Lily finally turned to face him. Now, she said. We live our own lives. Simple. Clear. Final. Ethan nodded slowly, as if trying to accept something his heart still refused to understand. Outside. The air felt lighter. Lily stepped out of the courthouse and exhaled softly. Not relief. Not happiness. But release. Noah ran toward her from a nearby bench, where Mia had been waiting with him. Mom, he called happily. Lily knelt down as he threw his arms around her. I'm here, she said gently. Mia watched them, her expression soft. It's done, she asked. Lily nodded. Yes. Mia hesitated. Are you okay? Lily thought for a moment. Then answered honestly. I'm free. That word carried more weight than anything else she had said before. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Life moved forward. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. But steadily. Lily built a new routine. Work. Home. Noah. Peace. The house she moved into was smaller. Simpler. But warmer. No tension at the dinner table. No sharp voices in the background. No unspoken expectations pressing down on her. Just quiet. The good kind. Noah adapted quickly. Children always do. Mom, can we paint the wall? He asked one afternoon. Lily looked at him, surprised. The wall? Yeah, he said excitedly. Like in cartoons. For a brief moment. Lily hesitated. The old her would have said no. Would have worried about the mess. The rules. The consequences. But this version. Smiled. Okay, she said. Noah's eyes lit up. And just like that. Color filled the room. Meanwhile. Ethan remained in the old house. The silence there was different. Heavier. Colder. No laughter. No small footsteps. No soft voice calling his name. Just emptiness. Grace still lived there. But even she had grown quieter. You should remarry, she said one evening. Ethan didn't respond. Life doesn't stop because of one failure, she continued. Ethan finally looked at her. This wasn't a failure, he said quietly. Grace frowned. Then what was it? Ethan's gaze dropped. A consequence. Grace didn't understand. And for the first time. He didn't try to explain. Ethan began visiting Noah regularly. At first. It felt awkward. Unfamiliar. Dad, look. Noah would say, showing him drawings, toys, small achievements. Ethan tried. He listened. He stayed. He learned. And slowly. He became the father he should have been. But never the husband he once was. One evening. Ethan stood outside Lily's new home. The lights inside were warm. Soft laughter drifted through the window. He didn't knock. He just stood there. Watching. Because he knew. He didn't belong inside anymore. The door opened suddenly. Lily stepped out. She paused slightly when she saw him. But she didn't look surprised. "You're here," she said. "I just dropped Noah off," Ethan replied. A brief silence followed. Then, Ethan asked quietly, "Did you ever love me again?" The same question. But this time, there was no desperation. Only acceptance. Lily looked at him. Her expression was calm. Gentle. But distant. "No," she said. Ethan nodded. He expected that answer. Then she added, "But I stopped hating you." A small pause. "That's enough for me," she said. Ethan let out a quiet breath. For the first time. It didn't feel like rejection. It felt like closure. From inside the house, Noah's voice called out, "Mom, come see this." Lily turned slightly, then looked back at Ethan one last time. "Take care," she said. Not cold. Not warm. Just sincere. Then she walked inside. The door closed gently behind her. Ethan stood there for a long moment. Then, he smiled faintly. Not because he was happy, but because he finally understood. Some losses don't come from fate. They come from the moments you choose to ignore. And no matter how much you change afterward, you don't always get another chance. Inside, Lily sat beside Noah, looking at his colorful drawing on the wall. "Do you like it?" Noah asked. Lily smiled softly. "I love it." And this time, she meant it. The camera slowly pulls back. A warm home. A safe child. A woman who chose herself. Not reborn to love again, but reborn to never lose what mattered most. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more original novel stories. And stay tuned, our next story is coming soon.